It's time for another Three Things here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, going solo because it's the middle of the night or middle of the morning, however you want to say it. It's almost 4 a.m. The Tar Heels in the first game, the quarterfinals of the Maui Invitational in Lahaina, Hawaii, took care of Dayton. Not really. Didn't take care of them. Escaped Dayton, if you will. 92-90. The Tar Heels trailed by 21 points with 17:46 left to go. And then R.J. Davis and Seth Trimble said, boys, we're going for a ride, and y'all going to hop along. Jalen Washington with a good second half for the Tar Heels after a not so good first half. In fact, everybody on the team was pretty bad for the most part in the first half. And that's where I want to start on our three things. The first thing is the first half. It was bad. It was really bad. The Tar Heels didn't defend. The Tar Heels didn't rotate defensively. They didn't close out on shooters. They got blown by on the dribble a lot. They looked slow. They looked less athletic, far less athletic than they are. They weren't very good in stretches on the glass. They missed opportunities. They turned the ball over a lot, committed some unnecessary fouls. They were on offense. They were completely out of sorts. Honestly, it looked like there was no plan in the first half. It was just, hey, we got these three guards who are really gifted. Just dribble and try to score. It got to the point where I was actually texting with someone who said, hey, remember a couple years ago when everybody complained that all Hubert did was call set plays? And the guy said, man, I would kill for a set play right now. I would kill just for one set play, like a full design play. I'm sure they were running them, but they weren't smooth running them. Way too much over dribbling by the guards. I like when the guards are aggressive. That's a big part of their game. But I sensed in the Hawaii game a little too much of a lean on those guys just creating and doing their thing. And that could be dangerous if it continues to go that way, because the three of them are going to be able to beat a lot of people, but they're not going to be able to beat the big time people down the road. And it's not going to fully sustain itself. You can win 23, 24, 25 games playing that way, but you can't reach the ultimate goal of this team playing that way. They've got to get other people involved. And we saw why in the first half, because the Tar Heels on one end, like I said, defensively were bad. In fact, Dayton scored 28 points over the last 27 of the first half. The Flyers were 12 for 18 from the floor in that stretch. And there was a period where they hit about 4 straight threes, three-point attempts in a span of about 3.5 minutes. Carolina, on the other hand, 4 for its last 17 from the floor. And there were a lot of bad shots. The guards were going up trying to get contact. There was some flailing that didn't work in their advantage. RJ got called for a kick when he was shooting a three. You don't see that very often. Be interesting to see if we see that call more as the season moves on. He didn't need to. He actually was fairly open. The kick, I think, slowed the delivery a little bit. Elliot Cadeau, really bad first half. He had a great sequence of a block shot on one end and then dished in the corner to Seth Trimble for a three on the other end. But other than that, 6 turnovers for Elliot in the first half. A lot of frustration, a lot of so-so body language that he'll learn from. He's still a young player. And Dayton had 19 points off of Carolina turnovers. It was a first half that if you're Hubert Davis and you want this team to see on film exactly how not to play, that was the first half. And Hubert's going to need to do some things with this team to avoid halves like that, because guess what? They were down 20 in the first half at Kansas. They didn't play great in the first half at Hawaii. Hubert had to give another, what I like to call, non-cussing, paint-peeling speeches at halftime. He can only go so far with those. He's only going to be able to go to that well so many times this year. The players at some point have to sense this thing's spiraling out of control right now. One of us has to step up and make a play and then make another play. I thought there were occasions where someone made a play, but it was never stacked up. And if the other team's stacking plays and you're not, that's how you find yourself down. It was a 51-33 at the half, and early in the second half, it was 56-35. But guess what? They turned it on, just like they did in Allen Fieldhouse. And this is the second thing. The Tar Heels turned it on. They were down 56-35 with 17:46 left, outscored Dayton, which is a really good team. You'll see them in the NCAA tournament. Outscored them 57-34 the rest of the way. The Tar Heels scored 57 points in the last 17:46 of the game. They had 59 in the second half. Guess who combined for 37 of those 59? RJ Davis and Seth Trimble. RJ finished with 30 on the night. Trimble had a career-high 28, I believe is what it was. He also had a career-high 10 rebounds. Trimble had 27 points, career-high 10 rebounds, 3 offensive. In fact, I'm a sidebar here for a moment. It was a week ago. 1 week ago today, well, it's now Tuesday, so 1 week ago yesterday, we had a press conference with Hubert Davis, and I asked him about rebounding, about if he liked the trend that the rebounding was going and about offensive rebounding. He said they need to be a lot better. And I said, shouldn't Seth be a really good offensive rebounder, especially a weak side offensive rebounder? And he said, absolutely. He went on to talk about, hey, Seth could be one of the best offensive rebounding guards they've ever had there. And I know that Hubert throws those things out sometimes, but you saw tonight what he was talking about, because Seth can get in there. He's athletic. He's tough with the ball. He's strong with the ball. And guess what happened on those 3 offensive rebounds in the second half? He scored. He went up once and scored and got a +1. Another time he went up and scored. Another time he got fouled and hit both free throws. So he got 7 points off those 3 offensive rebounds. And they were really, really big, obviously, in the eventual outcome of this game. Also in the second half, I'm going to stay on rebounding. At one point, the Tar Heels early in the second half were trailing 26-21 on the boards, but they out-rebounded Dayton the rest of the way. I believe it was 19-8 or 17-9. It was 17-9 the rest of the way. They ended up winning the rebounding battle in this game just barely. I think it was 37-35, but they still did it against a club that was really taking it to them on the glass there for a while. So they figured it out in the second half and got better. And one of the reasons is because of Jalen Washington. Hubert was sending Jalen a message in the first half. There's no doubt, because he came out, 2.5 minutes into the game, didn't go back in for another 6 or so minutes, 7 minutes. And then he was only on the floor for 3 minutes, and then went back in for the last minute, 51 and a half. He played 8 minutes in the first half, no points, 1 rebound. And he was getting banged on defense. Keys, the big kid for Dayton, got to him, just like Christensen in Hawaii got to him. Jalen has had trouble in the first half this year defending other bigs. They are botting into him and getting an advantage. However, in the second half, he's been better in each game. He gets challenged by Hubert. And what you're watching is the evolution of his growth right in front of your eyes. People need to understand how much time he missed. And then when he was finally healthy last year, he was in a distant reserve role behind a guy who ended up the all-time leading rebounder and number 2 all-time scorer at Carolina history. Armando's not going to be as legendary as the Tyler Hansbroughs of the world, but he still achieved those things, and he was playing in front of Jalen. So he's now getting extended minutes for the first time since he was like a sophomore in high school. Junior in high school. It's been a while since he's gotten these kind of minutes, and he's doing it at the college level, and he's doing it trying to learn how to be a grittier big man, a guy who plays more physically and not just with skill. And that is something that's going to take time. So he's taking it on the chin, so to speak, in the first half. Or taking it on the chest. Guys are chesting into him. In the second half, he's done better. And in the second half of this game, he had 9 points and 4 rebounds in 16 minutes. Should have been a block shot. He got a goaltend. I thought it may have been a block shot, but he was better. He was animated. He did a nice job. I thought on offense, his movement was better. He missed another 3. He's a really good 3-point shooter. I think he's so uber focused right now on some of that other stuff that the 3 just isn't falling. But the other two, RJ and Seth, and by the way, Elliott he got in foul trouble early in the second half. And we've wondered what this team would look like when Elliott's in significant foul trouble against a good team, and they handled it well. Kudos to RJ for transitioning over and playing the point, and I thought the team had really good flow. It also meant playing time for Drake Powell and Ian Jackson, and they both did well. Drake Powell played very well, hit 2 big three-pointers in this game. He was the one who closed out on the shooter late in the game that hit the three. Santos hit that. At first, it was a 3 to tie the game at 90 with, 7 seconds left. And then the review saw his toe was on the line, and it ended up being a 2-pointer. But you got to look at how Drake Powell closed out on him and hurried the release. And because of that, Santos didn't have time to check his feet, make sure he was behind the line. He kind of rushed the shot. He made it, but he rushed the shot. And I think Drake Powell had something to do with that. But Seth Trimble was fantastic. At least 3 +1s or N1s in the second half, I believe it was. RJ had some +1s. RJ hit late free throws in the game. RJ assisted to Drake one of those threes. He hit a 3 from the left corner. RJ drove. Dayton had a 7-1 kid who came off the bench. RJ drove. That kid came over and rotated over on him. All RJ did was drag him to the baseline a little bit underneath the basket and then kick out to Drake, who sank the 3. I think Drake was 1 of 6 from the perimeter going into this game and hit 2 tonight, so that's really big. And I just think that Seth's energy, when Seth is playing really well, it seems like the rest of the guys just kind of hop on that glide, so to speak. When Seth's game is percolating, it's like the other guys get some of that dust from him percolating. Some of that dust gets sprinkled on them, and they play with more bounce. They play with more spring. They play quicker and with a little bit more toughness, because I believe Seth has a little bit of edge, actually quite a bit of edge in his game, and we will see that come out and be more obvious as the season goes on. Second half, Carolina shot 59.4% from the floor. Dayton shot 35.4%. In fact, Dayton hit 6 threes in the second half, only 7 shots inside the arc. Tar Heels did a much better job taking care of some business, challenging stuff near the rim in the second half. The last thing is, what does this mean? Well, it's one day, one game. They came from behind again, and now they got to face Auburn. So regardless of what happened tonight, people will forget it in 24 hours. Not forget it, but they'll move on within 24 hours, because there's a bigger game against the number 4 team in the country who has legit claim as the number 4 team in the country. Bruce Pearl's a fantastic coach. I covered a game at NC State when he was at Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I was on the baseline right near their bench, and I really enjoyed watching him coach, and I enjoyed the way that team played, and I knew he was a good coach. And he has gone on and proven that. So this will be a very well-coached team the Tar Heels play. It's got plenty of athletes. It's got size. They got dudes who play in the backcourt. They've got kind of everything that you need to contend for a national championship. So this will be a significant test. Are they Kansas good? Are they Kansas good inside Allen Fieldhouse? Probably not, but that doesn't matter. They could be that in one night, which is Tuesday night. So what this means for the Tar Heels is they know that they can be straight up awesome in lengthy stretches. They showed that at Kansas. They showed that tonight against a good Dayton team. But it's also dangerous. Like I said, there's only so many halftime speeches where Hubert peels the paint off the wall that he can give these guys where it works. At some point, they need to take it upon themselves, and they need to fix those ugly stretches, especially in the first half, and stop them at 8 points or 10 points before this thing gets into 17, 18, 19, 20, which just magnifies the degree of difficulty in coming back, because they're not always going to come back. It's a dangerous thing to think, we're down 18, but we can come back. It's also a great thing to think that and know that, because you can be relaxed instead of getting really tight. But nobody can do that over the course of a 5-month season. So they've got to fix that. And they've got to recognize that, man, you guys are winning. You're winning a close game against Dayton. You lose by 3 at Kansas. Well, what happens if you play 35 minutes of basketball instead of 23 or 20? You win in Allen Fieldhouse and you win going away tonight. And that's the mission for this team. And they're going to have to play more than 20 to 23, 24 good minutes of basketball to beat Auburn. So that will be a test. It's a quick turnaround, but it will be a test because of the things this club must do to become a legitimate contender down the road. That's one of them. There are some other things, and we'll talk about that during the week because I'm sure some of them will come up in the Auburn game and then on Wednesday, whoever it is that they play. These things will come up and we will hit on them more. But this bad half, great half stuff, it's fine a couple of times a year, but they're kind of running out of those couple of times. They've already done it twice. And quite frankly, they were much better in the second half against Hawaii than the first half. But I chalked a lot of that up to the internal clock issue, having just traveled out there 48 hours earlier and getting used to it. So that's it right there. Tar Heels 92, Dayton 90. Carolina's 4-1. They take on number 4 Auburn on Tuesday. We will, of course, be back here for another 3 things. I'm in North Carolina. I was in Boston College over the weekend. I'm doing the football stuff this week. We have a stringer in Honolulu, and we have a guy who's done some stuff for us who is in Maui covering that. So we've got videos, we've got some pregame stuff, and of course, a lot of our regular content. So make sure you check out all that other stuff at TarHeelIllustrated.com. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We will have another 3 things for you. And don't forget, it's also NC State week in football. Jacob and I will have a football show. And I think if I have time, I'm going to do a couple of football drops this week. But we are loaded with content, loaded with work. And yeah, it's Thanksgiving, but that's a work day, man. And I may even grind out a daily drop on Thanksgiving for you as well. If you're excited about the Tar Heels comeback win, go ahead and click like on this video. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please do so. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you get updates every time we upload, which is a ton. Just go scroll through the channel. You'll see. It's worth it. Hit that notification bell so you always get those updates so you can check out our videos as soon as they go up and enjoy hanging out with us here at THI. I'm AJ, and I'll see you in about 24 hours.